Sashigane, the carpenter's square. I have repeated many times before, but I never feel bored or useless. On the contrary, however, the things that I have shown you are lacking a lot. Today, I'm gonna go in depth and show you how the master carpenters use them. Wooden buildings are made by assembling various parts, such as beams, girders, rafters, and so on. This assembling is done not just by stacking parts or putting them together at right angles. There are many sections that are assembled in complex three-dimensional angles, such as the joints at the corners, or roofs, or between curved members like the eaves of a temple. In order to accurately cut the joint sections, it is necessary to mark up the part material in advance, with the shape to be cut. This marking up of the part material is called stereotomy. The tool which is central to performing stereotomy is the carpenter's square, Sashigane. The carpenter's square can actually be used in many ways. In addition to checking right angles, it can also be used as a protractor, slide rule, and a tool for measuring areas. How to use a carpenter's square. The carpenter's square is an L-shaped ruler with scales etched into it. The long arm is called the nagate, and the short arm is called the kananote. The carpenter's square has a face and a back. The scales etched on the face are called face scales, and the scales on the back are called back scales. The back has a diagonal scale and a circumference scale. The scale marking of the diagonal scale are made so that the scale interval is the square root of 2, or in other words 1.4142 times the face scale interval, which is the relationship between the lengths of a square's side and its diagonal. If you measure the diagonal using the diagonal scale, you can determine the length of one side of the square. When the carpenter's square is used to show a right triangle, the respective sides are called the rise, run, and chord. If the right triangle is divided into smaller right triangles, the altitude, long chord, short chord, and short side are created. How these rise, run and chord are combined is an important point in stereotomy. The slope is the expression of the inclination of a roof, etc. There are many angles of roof slopes, but these standards are also determined using a carpenter's square. The traditional units of length saku and sun are still used in carpentry. 1 saku equals 10 sun. When 1 saku on the long arm is set as the standard relative to the horizontal, and if for example the short arm is raised to 5 sun, it becomes a 5 sun slope. If it is raised to 3 sun, it is called a 3 sun slope. The standard against which the slope is created is the horizontal. When marking up, the line which represents the vertical is called the vertical reference, tatsumizu, and the one that represents the horizontal is the horizontal reference, rokuzumi. One of the basic technologies of stereotomy, using the carpenter's square, is the marking up of a beamed hip roof. The main points in the stereotomy of beamed hip roof are the common rafter slope and the hip rafter slope. The common rafter slope is the slope of the roof's flow surface, and the hip rafter slope is the slope of the corner of the roof. Since the hip rafter slope has a longer triangle base or run, the slope is gentler. In this case, the length of the run of the hip rafter slope is the square root of 2, 1.4142 times the run of the common rafter slope. In other words, marking related to the common rafter slope is done using the face scale, and marking related to the hip rafter slope is done using the back scale. There are a few theories about when this back scale first appeared. One theory is that it appeared in the Heian period, when the brackets going to the corner were made to intersect the crosspieces running parallel to the sides of the building. Another theory is that it came about from the Kamakura period to the beginning of the Muromachi period, when they started cutting to connect the rafter distributed along the crosspieces. In any case, the carpenter's square with the same functions as the present was used in the Middle Ages, and stereotomy can be considered to have entered its mature stage. Although various architectural styles were introduced from the continent during the Kamakura period, Japanese craftsmen took advantage of stereotomy to construct more sophisticated temple architecture. Stereotomy has developed throughout the Middle Ages while adding various tricks according to the individual buildings. Stereotomy is what has built the style, function, and beauty of Japanese architecture. The esoteric discipline of stereotomy has been described as carpenters and sparrows cry in the corners of the roof.